Well, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to KTN Weekend at 1. My name is Wilson Buru. Let's start off with some fantastic news from Berlin, where Dennis Kimeto has clocked a world record time of 2 hours, 2 minutes and 57 seconds to win the Berlin Marathon a few minutes ago, now Kimeto becomes the third Kenyan to break the 42-kilometer mark in the German capital in the last 4 years. Kimeto broke free from fellow countryman Emmanuel Mutai in the final 5 kilometers, crossing the line with his arms in the air near the Brandenburg Gate. Emmanuel Mutai came in second with 2 hours, 3 minutes and 13 seconds as Abera Kuma of Ethiopia settled for third. Kenya's finished fourth, while led by compatriot Tadesse Fayese to finish winning the race in a time of 2 hours, 20 minutes and 18 seconds.
57 seconds unofficially there for Dennis Kimeto. The record books have been ripped apart by this 30-year-old Kenyan in the sunshine on this glorious...
Well, congratulations are certainly in order to one Dennis Kimeto for, well, making the country proud. Let's go to Mombasa now, where police are holding 9 suspects, including a woman believed to be behind a series of robberies in Majengo area. The suspects were arrested during a raid conducted by Makupa police officers at dawn. The officers were forced to break into the house after the suspects refused to open the door. The suspects were found in possession of military uniforms, including a jacket, trouser and special boots used by special forces, 80 DVDs and VCDs which contain jihad literature. The police believe that the DVDs are used for radicalization of youths in the area. According to the police, the suspects were also in possession of sachets of heroin, bang, syringes and injection water. Also found in the house were 5 knives, some containing fresh blood stains and a sword. Let's stay in Mombasa, where the Jubilee coalition in Mombasa have launched an anti-referendum campaign in the coast region. They say that the region's economy is at stake over the high political temperatures created by court governors for a referendum. They say that the Jubilee government has allocated sufficient funds for county governments and the governors are not justified to demand for more. They accused CORD of using the referendum as a ploy to remain politically relevant in preparation for the next general election.
His system of keeping the country in perpetual election mood. This has an adverse effect on the economy because the investors are running away because they're scared for this country of continuing having this election mode. The calls for referendum by CORD are a ploy to keep up the political momentum which will carry them through to 2017.
Kwanza kabla hawajatuambia wanataka pesa nyingi, watuambie zile walizopewa za maendeleo zikawashinda wakarudisha. Kile walichosahau kufanya waliporudisha ni kipi ambacho wamekumbuka sasa?
Uchumi umezoroteka kiasi kikubwa sana. Kwa sababu pia investors wanaogopa kuja kuinvest huku kwetu kwa sababu ya lile jopo la kisiasa limekuwa juu sana. Kwa hivyo sisi kama wapwani tungemuomba yule mwenye kueneza hizo kelele zinazoendelea angengojea mpaka wakati ukifika, watu wakaingia debe, wakaamua. Lakini kwa sasa ni wakati wa maendeleo. Sisi kama wapwani hatuko tayari kuleta ile confusion.
We're going to cover every inch of this county and to talk to our people in barazas, in radio talks, in rallies, in all the constituencies of this county, which will culminate in a very big rally at Tononoka ground in Mvita constituency. They have taken the gloves off and we've taken ours off. And let's see who is going to blink first.
From Mombasa, let's go to Wajir. Now, it's not news that residents of northern Kenya often refer to themselves as residents of the other Kenya. It's also not news that the process of acquiring legal documentation is that much harder in these areas. What is news is that some of these people live their entire lives without ever acquiring a national identity card. 49-year-old Abdi Hassan is one such person. The complications of making a living without a valid legal valid documentation are varied, and tonight on KTN Leo and KTN Weekend Prime, we will bring you the stories of people like Abdi and responses from the government. Here's a sneak preview of what you expect tonight.
Hello. Ile mimi naomba serikali haone sisi, akatie sisi kibande, afanye sisi mtu ya mwenyeji ya Kenya.
Now join Mahmoud Mohammed and Ian Wafula tonight at 9 with a comprehensive report on the national ID crisis in Wajir. Now, they claim to have been turned into internally displaced persons in their own land. The Ilchamus are now camping at Kiserian in Makutano ward in Baringo County. So just what is brewing within the Ilchamus community? Is KTN's Kamche Menza with the answers.
This is the new settlement pattern among the Ilchamus community here at Kiserian in Mukutani ward, Baringo County. Residents living in clusters, contrary to what is known about this community. These families have camped here just a few meters away from the GSU camp, all in need of security.
Wachida kabisa, kama nyinyi kona ile kitu nataka kupanyia sisi, sharibu pukutu aende kwao.
Since 2005, they say they have never found peace as a result of their differences with the Pokot community. Now they say they cannot access their own land.
Machamba yetu yote, sisi sasa kuna machamba kwa hapa. Sisi wasikini, sujui sisi watu ya Kenya, sujui sisi watu ya wapi. Kama kwa pali napeleka hiyo maneno, pelekeni. Mampia ile watu na chunga sisi kwa huko. Sisi jemisi yako na shida sana.
Maisha ni mbaya. Watu wamekuwa fukara kabisa, ng'ombe zao zimechukuliwa.
Renson Barke is an MCA of Mukutani ward. He says the Ilchamus have been pushed out of their land more than 30 kilometers away. They say these places have been taken captive by their neighbors, the Pokots. Across this lake lies Rugus location, which they say no one can access.
Mtu akitaka kutoka Mukutani kuja Kiserian, kupita tu barabara na pikipiki, anapigwa. So tunaona freedom of movement kwa Mukutani ward hakuna.
Tumesarataka kiuchumi.
Accessing the area is a daunting task. They say their enemies are always on the look to get rid of any invaders. Our crew was accompanied by the GSU to the area.
The roofing plus the doors really under last week. That was on Thursday.
Each time we open the school, each time we approach well-wishers and construct such buildings, they will intentionally come and destroy the way you have seen. I think the reason, the most clear reason is they do not want people to come back here.
Tension is still high in this area. The destruction of property such as the AP camp, leaving the residents who have now fully vacated this place with more questions than answers of exactly what their raiders could be looking for.
Kuna chief's office Rugus. Ukienda ni kama hapa. Rugus Primary School. Hii ni afadhali unasawa na wall. Rugus unasaenda kuona floor.
And I want them settled back in their homes by the government, because this is an issue that the government should take a serious concern.
Baringo County Governor Benjamin Cheboy confirmed that the residents have not gone back to their homes after the attacks.
Most of the time it is fear rather than not being allowed to go back to their land. They're still fearing to keep the animals in spite of the fact that they are no longer stealing. So you go and keep your animals, you are not sure, you are not completely sure that you are safe.
He, however, denied allegations by the residents that the Pokots are in the process of expanding their territory.
When you speak to the leadership of the community, that they say that is not the case. But of course, resource conflicts. If you want pasture it would be, it's not taking the land, it is perhaps accessing it is not possible to take land.
The residents, however, now want proper measures to be put in place for normalcy to return.
But I think with time, with these discussions of security, this insecurity or these threats of cattle theft and vandalization will be a thing of the past.
Kamche Menza, KTN at Mukutani Ward, Baringo County.
Nakuru residents have been advised to maintain high hygienic standards to prevent eye infections and other ailments. This was during a free eye clinic by East Africa Standard Chartered Bank. Over 1,300 children attended the exercise dubbed Seeing is Believing. The free clinic was held at Heshima Primary School in collaboration with Tenwek Mission Hospital. East Africa Standard Chartered Bank Head of Corporate Affairs Ann Kilovia said most children were found to have allergies and infections. Sentiments shared by David Sawe, who is an eye surgeon at Tenwek Mission Hospital.
Some of the cases we have seen today are mainly allergies. These are mainly based as a result of dust, smoke, pollen, and grass. That's one of, those are the cases we've seen. And then we have seen some people, also children with infections. And thus we treat with the infections we are treating with antibiotics, and the allergies we are doing antihistamine and steroids. Today it's been a good day. We have not seen any complicated cases. I think we've only come across one child who has cataract. And such cases now we refer into the program where the bank will now take care of will finance the surgery and the post-surgery care for that child under the Seeing is Believing program.
Time to take a short break now, but don't you go too far, because when we come back, we trace the killing of Kwekwe Mandaza in Kwale, who was killed by the police. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back to KTN Weekend at 1. Many questions remain unanswered in the murder of 14-year-old Kwekwe Mandaza in Kwale last month. The clues remain scanty, even as her family and human rights activists launch a campaign for justice. Is there really hope for justice for Kwekwe? KTN's Ferdinand Omondi reports from Mombasa.
Alipoona amevaa sare za polisi akawaheshimu sana.
Wakamua mtoto wa miaka 14, mtoto wa kike, msichana, na mpaka leo hakuna hata askari mmoja ambaye ametiwa ndani.
From the moment the news broke that 14-year-old Kwekwe Mandaza had died, allegedly at the hands of the police, it became apparent that police service was never going to accept responsibility. Initial statements painted the young girl as a vicious attacker who had wanted to harm police officers. Even the cause of her death was registered as cardiac arrest, even though her brains had been blown out. The shooter probably never anticipated that the gunshots that went off in the dead of night, far away from civilization somewhere in the rural lands of Kwale County, would reverberate to this day. Was this a case of self-defense or a brazen act of extrajudicial killing carried out by an officer detailed to enforce the law? A damning second postmortem and the evidence KTN found on the ground points to a different direction from what the police told the country. Deep inside the county of Kwale, nearly everyone who knew Kwekwe is struggling to find closure. At the Maviri Virini Primary School, where Kwekwe was a Class 4 student, KTN learns that the fraternity is yet to come to terms with her death. Kwekwe Mandaza was killed in the latter days of the August holiday, and as the pupils came back for the third term and news filtered in of her death, I'm told a lot of them, especially her classmates, refused to believe that she was indeed dead. And in a bid to build that acceptance, the school administration decided to paste the first headlines breaking news of her killing right here on the notice board to let the pupils know and accept that Kwekwe Mandaza is no longer with them anymore on this earth. Ismail Mgandi, Kwekwe's teacher of social studies and English, says the school administration felt it was necessary to stick that newspaper on the wall to help them find closure.
They were not in belief that Kwekwe has passed away. That's why we put that magazine there so that they can get the clear picture of what happened.
I sit down with Said Chirunga, a class 8 pupil and a friend of Kwekwe, who even knows the desk where she used to sit. His eyes stare distantly as he recalls how they received the news of their schoolmate's death. According to Chirunga, it is yet to sink in.
Hali imekuwa ngadi mbaya kwa sababu wengine bado wanamkumbuka rafiki yao Kwekwe kama mimi tayari.
Neither the pupils nor the teaching fraternity is buying into the story of the panga she allegedly wielded. On the contrary, it appears some of the young children here are now growing up with a not so positive image of Kenya's police service.
So we
don't know how the situation was during that moment when she was with the policeman, but to us teachers, we don't believe.
Ningependa polisi waliomuua Kwekwe wachukuliwe hatua.
August 21st, 2014, time around 2 a.m. 8 policemen ram into the home of a man they describe as wanted. Instead, they find 3 children aged 14, 10, and 7. When they leave, they carry away the body of the eldest girl, leaving behind pieces of her brain and bullet holes that would eventually expose what really took place here. But the ensuing confusion forces the High Court in Mombasa to approve an exhumation and a second post-mortem examination, which proves beyond doubt that Kwekwe Mandaza died from the shooting. KTN made the trip to Maweu where the incident occurred to piece together the clashing details and establish the circumstances that led to Kwekwe's death. Here we find Dalmas Madau, an uncle of the deceased, who leads us inside the house where it all happened. The 10-year-old boy who survived that night, George Mugandi, is currently in his hiding in what the family says is a safety measure, but his account is retold over and over here.
Ivile nasemekana polisi walikuja hawakubisha, walikuja wakagonga mpaka wakangusha. Kuna kitu nzito sana huko ndani imetengenezwa na simiti. Wakapiga mpaka ikaanguka. Walipoanguka wakaingia. Sasa Kwekwe inasemekana alikuwa amesimama hapa hivi akiwapisha mlango waingie, akiwaambia karibuni kama kuna mjomba basi, lakini mjomba ndani hayuko. Unaona? Hawakuingia huku, wakammalizia hapa. Sijui alikuwa amesimama sehemu gani. Wakammalizia hapa ya kichwa, akaanguka. Wakati akijaribu yani si mtu kama anakufa anafanya hivi. Wakammaliza na hapa. Ya kwanza ilikuwa ya kichwa, ya pili ikapiga hapa akiwa amelala chini.
The story is consistent with the second post-mortem conducted by an independent team of 3 pathologists led by the chief government pathologist.
And we've just confirmed that indeed she died as a result of head injury due to gunshot from a high-velocity firearm. There's also another injury on the chest, but this was a gray zone. We mean that the bullet just passed, but never got into her body.
Blood stains still patch the floor of the house where Kwekwe was found. But, as we found out, police fired much more than the 2 bullets that took Kwekwe's life.
Inasemekana kabla hajampiga walitupatia gas. Alafu walipomaliza Kwekwe hapa, ndio wakatupa marisasi huku. Mabati hiyo ni tundu ya risasi. Yeah. Hiyo ni tundu ya risasi, hiyo na hiyo. Haya, ile mwenzangu Dickson aliokota ganda hapa.
Iliokota ganda moja, shimo la chini, alafu na tembe chini.
Hapa ni mimi ndio nilichokora sana mpaka ndani, sikupata kitu. Lakini hapa niliokota ganda, hapa nikaokota ganda. Alafu Dickson akokota ile risasi yenyewe hapa chini.
The police who carried out the killings are said to have hurriedly collected cartridges and Kwekwe's body on their way out, but the family still found 3 more, which they handed over to a local human rights organization, Muhuri, which in turn handed it over to the Independent Police Oversight Authority. Amazingly, KTN made its own discovery at the scene more than 3 weeks after the incident. After listening to the story, we've been looking around the house for any other clues, and you will not believe what I have just discovered that even the family did not see. This is another cartridge. Ferdinand Omondi, KTN, Nunguni, Kinango.
That's all we had prepared for you this afternoon on KTN Weekend at 1. Remember to catch up with Checkpoint at 9 and mock the week. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.